My article is on the effects that caffeine has on the human body. Caffeine is one of the most consumed stimulants in the world. Millions of people ingest caffeine in some various forms every day. Caffeine is in coffee, tea, soft drinks, medications, prescription drugs, and in some food. Caffeine is a stimulant of the central nervous system, of the cardiac muscle, which increases your heart rate, and of the respiratory system, which actually improves your breathing and makes your muscles contract easier. There are good and bad effects with caffeine use. And according to experts, there are pros and cons to having caffeine in your diet. People need to look at all the available information before they decide to consume caffeine. So there are some good and some bad effects to caffeine use. Some of the positive are more energy, increased attention, and alertness. Some of the negative effects are increased anxiety, makes your blood pressure rise, and it dehydrates you. Caffeine can also affect your sleeping patterns. So, if it keeps you up at night, I would try to avoid caffeine. But there's also some pros and cons to caffeine use. If you take ibuprofen with caffeine, you will have longer and faster relief from pain. It's also been proven that it dissolves mineral deposits, which actually helps reduce gallstones and kidney stones. There's also some cons to it. It's been blamed for bone loss, but if you take calcium when you consume caffeine, it can offset the effect of the caffeine. There's also other few health concerns, like migraines can be triggered with caffeine use, and caffeine can cause heartburn if you have acid reflux. The caffeine composition is structurally close to adenosine, which is a chemical released in the body that makes us sleepy. The caffeine binds to the receptors, the adenosine receptors, and prevents adenosine from binding with the receptors, which would make us tired. But with regular caffeine use, the brain develops more receptors, and it takes more coffee to wake us up. That tells us why, if we cut our caffeine out, that's why we're so exhausted. So now you have more adenosine receptors in your brain, which in hand has more adenosine released into your body. And that makes us more tired. The human body absorbs caffeine quickly. In as little as 15 minutes, you can feel the effects from caffeine. And it only takes 45 minutes to be totally absorbed into our bodies. So, the experts say do not consume more than 250 milligrams of caffeine per day. That amount is equivalent to about 3 cups of coffee per day. And if we cut out caffeine from our diet, most likely you're going to have some withdrawal symptoms. Headaches, tiredness, decreased energy, and impaired concentration are some of the more common symptoms. So we just have to remember that moderation is the key when consuming caffeine. We need to try to stay in the guidelines of how much to ingest each day Just try to remember there are good and bad effects to caffeine consumption. And if you give it up, there's a good chance you'll have some withdrawal symptoms. There are health benefits and risk because we have to remember this is a stimulant. But ultimately, it's your decision. You just have to keep all the facts in your head.